Hey, hi guys. So we have another edition of Chippy Chicks tonight. Um, I'm Danica. I'm going to be hosting. I am with Kelly Jamison, Melanie Ting, Sadie Eggert, and Fortune Wellhun tonight. So first, I want to talk about playoffs and moment of silence for Kelly for the Jets.
It's a sad, sad thing.
I know. I'm sorry. I did like another bracket again this year and I like picked them to win. And like the first round, the East Coast, I totally predicted correctly and I was like, "Oh, okay." And like the only ones I got right on the West were the Jets for the first round. And then I said it was going to be Jets Capitals for the finals. So I was obviously very, very wrong. So I guess my question is like, how far off are you guys, and like, who do you think is going to win now that we're down to conference finals? I
Can
I
I
mean,
say, like, in
well,
our group chat, we didn't. I know, like, after I think the Winnipeg didn't win one game, or maybe they won, and then like nobody talked about it. So I
don't
think they're like collectively, like trying not to jinx them.
I know.
So, yeah, so it wasn't our fault.
yeah. I don't know what's going to happen now. Are we going to end up seeing Edmonton and Florida again?
Kind of looks like it right now.
Yeah,
And it does.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to cheer for Edmonton. I just, I just can't do it.
No, I have a hard time with it too.
Yeah, so I'm going with Florida because Paul Maurice and all my old boys are there, and
Pretty
Brad
hard to cheer
Marchand is
for
like,
Florida too, though. I mean,
yeah.
Uh,
But also Brad Marchand is there, which is kind of hilarious. Like,
yeah, yeah.
so it's been interesting.
that's not something in their favor though for cheering for them.
Yeah.
Brett Marchand.
The baby picture with I like that meme that's going around with Brad Marchand and all of the teams he's beat. I think it's cute.
Oh, I haven't seen it.
Me seeing it either. Yeah.
Look for it.
I don't know. They just seem so dirty, though, the Panthers. I mean,
Well, yes, and this is what I was upset about the first round that the Jets played too against Columbus, right? Um,
St. Louis.
oh, St. Louis. It
Yeah.
was they were freaking dirty. Like, and I'm like, this is what they mean by playoff hockey. It's like these teams that are gonna like just be super physical and do whatever they have to do to win. That's not how the Jets usually play. Maybe, and that's why people think the Jets are a fraud, but like they managed to beat them in the end. But holy moly, it was like the whole team was in the crease, like it was endless hitting people, and oh, it was brutal. So, and then I think the Panthers are kind of like that too, but I guess that's why they do well, and that's where they are where they are.
Well,
Why they
it's funny because people say the refs don't want to interfere, so they don't say anything. But by not calling things, you
oh
are interfering with the outcome of the game.
yes, and that's the thing is because in the playoffs the refs don't call as much, so these teams that are kind of like that know that they can get away with even more.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's really cool.
Um, I did. So I only watched the Jets in the first round, and like there was a total difference. Like there was no call. There's hardly any calls in that series. And then I was watching, I think the finals of maybe like a Toronto game, also game seven, and it was like there was penalties like every 5 minutes. Like,
Mm.
um, so like I think I like the flow of um I like the flow better when there's less calls. Um, and I don't think that they did a bad job in the Toronto series making calls because they were um the players were I just like the style of play better of the Jets when they're more disciplined. They're gonna like I'd prefer somebody to win on um on talent and teamwork and
Yeah, yeah,
cooperation.
yeah.
It's like it's just a better game for me, and I feel better cheering for them. I know that doesn't make sense because I'm cheering for Florida right now, but um,
Eh,
in general, for my Canadian teams, yes.
Yeah.
I said earlier before we started, I kind of was joking. I was like, Carolina finally showed up when Aho hurt someone. I was like, I was waiting for that because he's got a history. And the thing is, that's kind of the bite that I was hoping would show up against a team like Florida. I remember how Sebastian Aho injured Adam Fox earlier this year, and I was hoping for that style of play to show. Like, he injured Adam Fox to the point where during Four Nations, Adam Fox literally went over to Sebastian Aho during the game that they were playing and like slammed him, like did some nasty thing that Adam Fox does not do ever. So
Wow.
like he took advantage. I mean, everybody would like, we were just like, what the hell just happened? And it's, and so I was rooting for Carolina to get to that point, and I was rooting for that Carolina to show up against Tom Wilson, and I was hoping for that Carolina to show up again in this round against Florida, but they have not. This Carolina has not shown up, and it's been rather disappointing.
I know.
Sort of like see Florida not get beaten by their own game.
Yeah. It's
Um,
like you always think of it in terms of your own team too, right? You think, well, what outcome would be the best for my team?
Yeah.
Like for me, I think that if the Canes were to win the cup, then maybe people would think, oh, we should get like a really smart GM and we should have stability in the coaching and things like that, which I think would be really good instead of like, oh, we're going to chase the next shiny thing all the time. So I was sort of thinking, oh, it'd be great if the Hurricanes won like the vote for like staying on course.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess what they're always lacking is they haven't paid for like a superstar player, like kind of a game breaker who can, you know, come through and score single-handedly when things aren't going well for the team. So I don't know.
Can I talk a little bit about the Jets?
Mhm.
I'm going to talk more about the first series later on, but the second series where they got knocked out, it was like super emotional, that whole series. And I think in a way there was so much good came out of that, out of them losing, which is a weird thing. But it was, I think most people probably know that Mark Scheifele's father had passed away, I think the night before the game. Weren't sure if he was going to even play. And he did, because he said that's what his dad would have wanted. And everybody was really emotional about it. Like all the fans, I'm watching and I'm looking at social media and I'm texting with my daughter and another friend, and like everybody wants the Jets to win for him. It was even more, they wanted the Jets to win more for him than we wanted it for ourselves, which is really unusual. Like there's a lot of, I can only imagine that if it hadn't been for his father passing away and that had all gone down, the fan groups would have been just irate.
Mhm.
But everybody wanted it for him. Everybody was, you know, sympathetic to him. And um the way that it happened, like we were all convinced that it was that we were going to win. And he even scored the first goal, which was like amazing and super exciting. And then it ends up losing with him in the penalty box, which was just
But
heartbreaking.
that's almost the setup for the fairy tale ending, right? He comes out of the box and they hit him with the pass and he scores the goal. Do you know what I mean? You can almost see
Yes,
like fate is there. It's going to
yes,
happen.
that could have been. And honestly, they could have won. Like they were playing well enough that they could have won that game easily. And then that happened. So like just the image of him after, when when Dallas scored and he's in the box and his head is down and you just know like how he's feeling, and oh God, it was just heartbreaking. But the good stuff that came out of that was that day when people found out about Mark Scheifele's father passing away, Dallas Stars fans started a Reddit group for people to donate to some of the charities that he supports in Winnipeg. So people were donating $55 because that's his number to these charities. Dallas Stars fans were doing that. And
Nice.
then the handshake line. Well, before they even got to the handshake line, it was just the whole Jets team coming together like that. Like as soon as the game ended, Mark Scheifele went right over to, or Mark Scheifele, Adam Lowry, the team captain, went right over to Mark Scheifele in the box to hug him. And the hug between Scheifele and Hellebuck, again, heartbreaking. And then, I mean, they were all like that. And then they do the handshake line, and Scheifele is like hugging and hanging on to some of those guys that he knew. And even Jamie Benn, who in the game before that had punched him in the face while his hands were being held and he couldn't defend himself. Oh, I was so fucking pissed about that. But those two hugged and like talked for like, I don't know how long. So it like the sportsmanship that you saw and the fact that it was about something that even was bigger than hockey was, and we're also going to talk about that, the trial that's going on with the players that were on the 2018 Canada World Junior team. Something we needed to see something really good from hockey, and this like really, really was something good from hockey. So just, I mean, we lost and it was heartbreaking and it was sad, but there was other things that happened that really made me feel good about hockey and about humans.
Just a sidebar here. I didn't know all the Jets before, and when Adam Lowry had that big game, and I saw him, and I thought he is exactly like a hockey romance hero captain. You know what I mean? I thought, oh, look, he's got the looks, he's got the poise, and he's
Yeah.
just more hardworking than superstar. I thought I could totally see him in one of Kelly's series or something.
He is kind of partly what my last hockey hero was
Oh,
based on. A little bit. Not totally, but yeah.
Okay, I just read that book, so I can see that. I see
which
it
is that
now.
one? The winery one?
No, my last hockey book, which was Crossing the Line.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
From the new series.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so I just wanted to talk about that because
No.
it was heartbreaking, but like after a few days I'm thinking about it all, I started to feel a lot better.
I got goosebumps when you were talking about that. Yeah. Also shout out to Dave Lowry, Adam Lowry's dad, he was a playing coach in Calgary during 04 and 05.
Yeah.
So yeah, you could also have hockey zaddies.
Yeah,
Right?
All right.
totally.
Do we have any other playoff thoughts or predictions before we get to the other things we have to talk to
Oh,
that
but
are
I was
not
just
that
saying before we started, how disappointing it's been. Like there haven't been close games except one. Like they've all been like blowout. Like especially if you live on the West Coast, because by the time I think about watching it, I check the score and I think, oh, I guess I don't need to watch it now.
fun. Right.
Yeah, yeah.
It's already 3-0. So what's
Yeah.
going
I
Yeah.
get
on?
it.
Although in the Dallas Stars game, that didn't the first one. It was like, oh.
I think one of the things I have discovered is that like for some reason, like I can watch the first two periods and not the third in order to get the result that I want. Again, so like I'll watch especially if like the game's on the West Coast. So
Yeah.
like, it didn't matter so much, in the second round, but like it didn't matter. So it's strange. Like I'll watch a game, two periods, the third period, the team that I want to win goes off the rails. So I have discovered.
I understand this.
Yeah. It's superstition. I mean,
Yeah,
I do
yeah.
too. Like
probably figure. Yeah,
if
it'll probably
Flyers were
be.
good, I would like not wear the team colors. Like
Oh
because
God.
every time I did, like lose. So I'd like
Yeah.
not wear Flyers stuff. So I get it.
Yeah, the one time I wore white during the playoffs for Winnipeg, they did not do well, and I was like, okay, no more white for me.
Well, I wore white last year and they lost. So then this year I was like, should I wear white? No. And then I wore white to the game, which they won, but then I wore didn't, yeah, no, I didn't wear white and they won. It didn't matter.
Yeah. Last year I was not allowed to be watching the game. Like I was not allowed to be in the same room with the game on because I tend to get very loud and very angry and very like,
Oh yeah.
and so like the rest of the people in the house got extremely annoyed with me. So I had to like watch from the other side of the house. Like especially in like the second, in the round against the Panthers. Oh God, I was like, it was not fun. This year, totally different. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta
totally
say, the
different.
Canucks in the playoffs seems like so long ago. I can't believe it's just last year.
I feel like it's been too long for my team.
Feels like years from mine.
I know. All right. So speaking of hockey romance, we found out there was some news that a former hockey player, Sean Avery, who a lot of people know is like probably the most hated person in hockey, is writing with another author. I don't know this author at all. I've never heard of her. A hockey romance. A lot of people had a lot of thoughts about this. Um,
Oh yeah.
yeah, so one of my critique partners also writes hockey romance, and I was like, I'm not even interested in this. So like I didn't even read the blurb, but she read the blurb and she's like, this is a cheating trope. I don't like that. I am never gonna read a book like that, so I'm just not interested in reading it. And I'm like, okay, so like I wouldn't be either. So I feel like Kelly, you had some things you wanted to talk about this too.
Well, yeah, the blurb doesn't even sound like it's a romance. Like I don't know if it even ends with an HEA. I'm not sure. And I don't know the author that he's co-writing with, but I don't think she's exactly a romance author. Definitely not a hockey romance author.
Right.
So I don't he's maybe going to be one of those authors who is going to sell this book as a romance because hockey romance is so popular right now. But if it is not a romance, he is going to incur the wrath
Mm-hmm.
of romance.
Mm-hmm.
So good luck with that if that's
Yeah.
what.
I don't think he's ready for that.
I don't know. Who knows? The thing that I found funny about it is that this guy. I don't know if people remember because this was quite a while back, like 2008, was it? I thought I wrote it down here somewhere. Oh, here it is. No, that's not it. Oh yeah, that is it. I don't know. 2008 or something. He uh was playing a game in Calgary. He didn't play for Calgary. He was playing a game in Calgary and called over a whole bunch of um, media people and made this statement about how okay, here it is. I just want to comment on how it's become a common thing in the NHL for guys to fall in love with my sloppy seconds. I don't know what that's about, but enjoy the game tonight. So
Oh.
he was talking about
I know what it's about.
I do.
Yeah.
So he was talking about Alicia Cuthbert,
yes,
who Dan Panoff is still married to today.
and
Beyond
apparently
Finesse.
Rachel Hunter was one of his girlfriends, and she was at the time dating Jarrett Stahl.
Yeah, they were engaged. Yeah.
Mm.
So that was
Well, I mean,
So-
I just think he's got a long history of not respecting women. So I don't
Exactly.
see how he can write a romance novel because a romance novel is all about empowering women and women getting a happy ending, like
exactly.
just getting big D or whatever. I mean, they have to
Yeah.
a whole life. So he probably doesn't even understand that, he's just like, or
Right.
she's going to write the whole thing and he's going to say, put in these hockey details. That's probably how it's going. I mean, I don't, although
Yeah.
I have to say, admit, before everything had went, I did read his biography and it was actually pretty interesting. So,
Oh yeah, you did read that.
yeah, but that just writing your biography is different than writing a book. And I
Yeah.
think we talked about this before. It's pretty hard to write a good hockey romance. I don't know why everyone thinks it's easy.
I don't. Anyway, I used that in one of my books. He was the inspiration for the main female character's ex-boyfriend who humiliated her by saying something like that in front of the media after they broke up. And she vowed to never date another hockey player again. She was hiding from the media because of that and because of all the attention and like she's never getting involved with another hockey player, of course. So she, but
Tell us the title, Kelly. So
One Man Advantage is the book.
I think
Always
I've read
the
that
best
one.
titles.
Yeah.
Yeah, my first book is similar. It's baseball
Yeah.
player. Yeah.
Yeah.
She switched to a different sport.
Yeah.
So we considered reading that book and doing a like a little book club thing about it, but I think we kind of decided
Yeah.
maybe we don't want to do that.
Yeah.
But even listen, so I just pulled up the blurb. And Danica mentioned it was a cheating trope. So it's like it's a writer and she ends up cheating with a hockey player. She's married, has kids, all that fun stuff. But then I read about the author, and she currently lives on the Upper West Side with her husband and 2 children. And I was like, oh, are they writing about themselves?
Right?
Through a book.
Yeah, that's just strange.
Yeah.
Strange and coincidental.
Very.
I mean, like the heroine has faked a mental breakdown to get away from her husband, children, and job. So it's like, I mean,
That's a real sympathetic character.
exactly. Like it just seems like he doesn't like women. If he invents that kind of character, he doesn't really like women or understand them.
No.
Yeah. Interesting though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Veronica Deneau was a guest host once. I think I was away.
Yes. Yeah.
But she definitely has said to people, don't read this. Like this
Yeah.
guy is bad news. He's got a restraining order out on
Right.
him, and just even talking about him here, there's not a lot of good things.
No, I mean, like,
Stacey was saying it before. He craves the fame and the attention, so he keeps
Yeah.
doing these things to get back in the spotlight.
yeah, very much so. Like, you
He's
know,
on. He was on the last season of Letterkenny too.
oh,
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I have to
Or
get
not Letterkenny, Shoresy,
Shoresy.
which is the more hockey one.
Mhm.
Right.
And I'm like, I had to explain to my fiance doesn't like hockey, and I'm like, he's the most hated person. Like, I have to explain it.
like the thing, like I will always give him credit for the way that he played during his second stint as a Ranger. Where he ended up in the hospital having his spleen removed after having a major confrontation with John Tortorella, who did not believe that he was actually, not feeling well. And
Oh my God.
yep. So, and the year that he distracted Martin Brodeur to the point where there is a rule in hockey labeled after him. And that also occurred during this stint. But after he finished his hockey career, I remember seeing him a great deal in videos on social media, yelling at people who were parking badly as far as he was concerned, instead of doing like other things and focusing on positive things. What was he doing? He was that old man yelling at the cloud on the sidewalk. Like, dude, you're not Socrates. Like, dude, you have the potential for so many other opportunities. Like, yes, you're trying to make, houses in the Hamptons, and now you're yelling at everyone in the, like, get off my lawn. Like, dude, like, there are so many other positive ways he could have spent his time, and this is how he chose to do it. And
Yeah.
it's like all of that potential, like, goodwill from the sports side of his life went out the window at that point. When they saw the true nature of his personality. Like, there was a time, like, while he, like, very shortly after he retired from playing, like, he had restaurants, it was a thing. He was like a man creating a positive life for himself, for lack of a better. And then this just goes to like show, like, in conjunction with everything else that everybody has been saying, like you don't want anything to do with this guy. period.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're not reading the book.
No.
But I mean, I'm not going to give them money, but I'd be happy to read a scathing review of the book.
Yeah.
I mean, we could like review the book, honest reviews. I don't think that's a terrible thing. I just don't think he needs our money.
Yeah,
Yeah. Right?
Yeah. doesn't.
Yeah. Yeah. You want to be free to DNF after like the first chapter.
Be funny, one of those like live reads of the book. I think would be hilarious. But
I'm
like,
sure someone will do it.
yeah,
Yeah, that does sound like kind of a
I already,
potential YouTube or thing. Yeah.
All right. So next topic. Joe Quenneville was hired by the Ducks. Which
All happy topics today.
I know. That's why I was like, do you guys want to talk about this stuff? Like, and you're like, no, let's not talk about it. I feel like we always talk about terrible things.
We haven't even got to the trial yet.
Yeah, I know. And like to the point that the Ducks like released a statement to like basically like why they did it, and it's like if you have my thoughts, if you have to release a statement and explain why you hired someone because you know you're gonna get backlash, maybe you shouldn't have.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like all the comments in the like posts for their statement is like basically just more backlash. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I mean, I think that when Stan Bowman got hired, wasn't there discussion on how he had actually done things to improve? And I thought with Quenville, the issue was, well, what has he done? Has, you know,
Yeah.
I mean, and I think the difficulty is there's no like one course, like
Yeah.
go through this course and graduate and you'll be more enlightened and a better leader of people.
Right. Right.
So this part of the statement, the end of the statement says, it is clear that Joel deeply regrets not following up with more questions at the time, has demonstrated meaningful personal growth and accountability, and has earned the opportunity to return to coaching. And that's from the Ducks GM. I don't know what he's demonstrated though. Like I don't think we know from
Yeah.
public. So like or else we're like, I don't know about that.
A bunch of old white guys interview him and they make they come to that conclusion like
Right. Right.
Yeah, I mean, you want to hear concrete ways that these done or
Yeah.
things he's done courses and maybe have it vetted by, you know, people outside the organization.
That's a good point too, because it's
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
It just seems like all you have to do is time.
yeah.
Okay,
Right.
long enough. Now you can come back.
Yeah.
It's like so many of these things, as long as you're good at your job, be it a hockey player or a coach.
They don't care.
Yeah. Or a
That
GM,
raises
yeah.
an interesting question for our next little topic.
Yeah, because like if the Oilers did win, then that's Stan Bowman winning. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if Dallas wins and Sam Steele is on that team, he shouldn't be playing.
I don't. So what's the story on him?
Isn't Sam Steele one of the players from the?
He was one of the guys that was in the hotel room with EM.
Yep.
Not one of the ones that was charged, but he was apparently in the hotel room.
He was in, but not a participant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I guess we can move on to that if anyone else has any thoughts.
What a nice segue into our next happy thing.
Yeah.
well, I don't know. I don't understand. I don't get it. Like why they just keep rotating around. Especially Joel Quenneville. And then I just feel like, sorry, I don't feel like I would really like it if in like 10 years something comes out that he had like dirt on everybody and he was like pulling the strings of the NHL or something. Because it's the only way it makes sense to me.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bold prediction. You heard it here first.
Okay.
I mean, you'd wish it would be that, but I don't think it is. I think these guys
I
just
don't
don't think
either.
it's a big deal. It's just like, oh,
Just
who
the
cares?
boys club and
That's the situation we're going through in Vancouver right now. I mean, Adam
yes,
Foote is our new head coach, and his son
yes.
is on trial. And there's only, I think, one or two reporters brave enough to broach a subject like, basically, isn't it like a worry for you? Aren't you, trying to? And he's like, I guess I'm not built that way. I don't think.
Oh,
I
so they've
don't think
actually asked him about it?
he did. He was asked about it, but the hypocrisy of saying, "Well, he's just the person to shape young men," as a teen. You're thinking, "Oh, really?" Because it doesn't sound like
Right?
job at home. And I mean, I don't know if you've been paying attention to the trial, but like his son, like it was awful what he did. And like of all the things, like because they're not releasing details, it's one of the graphic details that's come out. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I was actually gonna hoping that you would bring that up for because it was kind of interesting that all of a sudden Vancouver hired him, and it's like the timing was kind of like,
I know. I mean, it's on trial. I mean, I have seen on social media some people saying, well, as a woman, I can see that you don't care about my fandom. You don't care. And I'm thinking if we're hiring a guy who has no experience as an NHL coach, like there's nobody else we could have hired. It's not like, I mean, at least with Joel Quenneville, he is like proven to
yeah,
be a good coach, but oh no, we're going to hire this guy with no experience. Um, and I don't know. There's other coaches with AHL head coaching experience that they liked. I think they were not going to hire another experienced NHL coach. I don't know from who they interviewed, what the rumors were. It was either AHL coaches or people like Foote, who I guess had coached here, assistant coached here or whatever. So, I mean, I like it's really hard to be a Canucks fan, and I think I might be getting to the end of my rope here.
yeah, that's not a good thing to.
Well, because the sort of runner-up to the job was Manny Malhotra, who was the assistant coach in Toronto, is the coach of our AHL team right now, and they've already won 2 rounds of the playoffs in his first year
Oh,
coaching. Super smart guy, like really nice community guy, and his son is playing in the BCHL right now. And I'm thinking, well, yeah, I could get behind someone like that. I mean, he doesn't have experience either, but at least he doesn't have any connections. Like his son is like playing hockey, not doing anything else. So he's just a really smart guy, and he was really helpful as a player, helping to coach because he was really good at face-offs. So he would always be coaching everyone else, and everyone's face-offs started improving when he was on the team. So it was things like that, and you think, oh, like that would be a great guy,
yeah,
or even the fact we have a Swedish GM. Like if we had a Swedish head coach, there just seems to be lots of other opportunities, and you don't have to hire the people who are a little bit tainted.
Hmm.
right.
Malhotra actually started his NHL career in New York. So like I remember when I was young and like at the beginning of my like Rangers fandom, like I remember seeing him play
Yeah.
at the Garden. So he was like really, really young too when he started.
I mean, I think he was a good player, not a superstar, but one of those players who's smarter than they are good, so they can extend their career by, being able to
Yes.
play, being able to anchor a fantastic fourth line or whatever, things like that.
Yeah.
So guys
Yeah.
like that, I mean, you have to respect them, and they do often go into coaching and stuff because they understand the game well. So
Yeah.
So, I don't really know what is going on with this trial because I feel like every time I look at something, it's like another dismissal or mistrial. It
Yeah.
just feels like it's a circus. Like,
It has gotten to be a little bit, huh?
it has
yeah.
gotten to be a circus, and then they revealed why the first mistrial was called, because once the second mistrial was called and they
Yes.
decided to go judge only, then they revealed what had happened, and it was the same lawyer that caused both problems.
Okay. Like intentionally mistrial.
Well,
I mean, we can't say intentional, can
Okay.
we?
but
But it
they
was kind of weird.
they
So
were
the
they were
first
tampering with the
trial
jury,
was caused
basically.
by her talking to one of the jurors, like at a restaurant. And the jurors were told, like, you're not supposed to talk to anyone from the trial outside the courtroom. And so she said something that was not like, hi, it's hot in here. It was like, oh, there was a lot of head nodding during the initial remarks today, meaning like, oh, everybody agreed with the Crown's case, sort of, which is like not a thing you should ever say to one of the jurors.
Mm-hmm.
So the juror told another juror, and then they sort of discussed it among them. And then they told the judge, and the judge said, well, at this point, we have to get rid of the jury because they already have a strike against the defense lawyer. So the second thing that happened was that the jurors said, there's two lawyers, and whenever we come into the courtroom, they start looking at us and whispering and laughing, and we think that they're making fun of our appearances or something. And we're really not happy with this. And it was the same woman, lawyer, and the senior guy that she reports to that were doing this. So then they had discussion back and forth, and the Crown was sort of like, well, why can't you just, investigate further to see if there is prejudice? But they ultimately decided, and the defense attorneys all agreed that they would go to judge only, because one of the reasons is they didn't want to have to subject the EM to questioning, because she gets to be questioned by every single one of the lawyers of all these guys. So they've been ridiculous. They've been
Yes.
saying things like, oh, why do you call them boys? Is that part of, trying to frame it that they're not men? She says, they're huge, they're men. Like, what are you talking
Yeah,
about?
she was calling them men. And they
Yeah.
said, and they
No,
said
they said you
initially
should call
during
them
her
boys.
report,
Sorry.
she
Yeah.
had called them boys, and she goes, now you're calling them men. I think that's intentional. And AM is like, well, they are men. They were
Yeah.
men.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. Anyway, and there's lots
There's
of
that's
things
been
going on. There's protesters. There's some lunatic from an organization called False Accusations who's been trying to wear meta glasses in and film everything.
oh
Like,
my
I
God.
mean, it's bringing out all the
I
crazy.
didn't know that.
That,
It's
wow.
kind of weird is there's reporting, but now that there's been reporting all the things that the jury couldn't hear, now that there's no jury, so all these details, I guess, that the reporters have are coming out. But I, I mean, I don't know. I
It's
Yeah.
hope a
the
judge
it's
Um,
can
the
do a
same
better
as
job.
I mean, it's a classic example of why women don't report this stuff. The way that the lawyers have been treating her, the lawyers for the hockey players, like the questions that they've been asking and the things they've been saying, it's just I mean, I know they have to defend their client, but it's horrible. It just every time I read it, I get so furious. Um,
I know
and
it's awful, and I'm really worried that it's going to be the same result as always.
I know.
yeah.
And in fact, what did they do? I think in Saskatchewan, they ended up charging the woman with like mischief or something for even
Yes.
bringing the case. I mean, it's just like a demonstration to every woman out there. We don't care what you say. We're gonna all get together, and all the teammates, men in their early 20s, suddenly have no memory of an event that happened just a few years ago. Oh, I don't exactly remember. No, oh, what about these, 40 text messages? Oh, I don't remember
I
saying.
don't remember if she was naked or had clothes on.
Yeah,
Like,
I was like,
are you kidding me? Yeah,
plus, I mean,
it's
I think they're saying things like, well, didn't you just want to get with a hockey player because they're so great? And I'm thinking, if they're so great, why can't they get their own dates? Why do they all have to have the same person? Because obviously it's like this whole warped power thing that's going on.
and
Anyway,
you know what? If she did just want to get with a hockey player, why not? What's wrong with that? She
yeah.
meets a guy in a bar and she wants to go up to his room and have some fun.
Mhm.
There's nothing wrong with that. If it's consensual, there's nothing wrong with that. But for him to like call a whole bunch of his teammates without her knowing and have them come in,
Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah.
that's the problem. And so this is what I was like, I've been upset because listening to all this stuff, I'm actually having a hard time writing on my work in progress, because I'm at this point where I'm writing a scene where the main male character and main female character are meeting. It's actually at the All-Star game, but they're in a hotel in Vegas and they're flirting and they're having fun and they're really attracted to each other and they're going to go up to his room. And I'm like, no, don't do it.
I
But
know.
it's not supposed to be like that in a romance novel, right? It's supposed to be romantic and sexy and fun. And I'm like, it's just, it was making it so hard for me to write that scene.
Because you have to question yourself. You say, okay, I write
Yes.
hockey romance. Am I encouraging women to think like this? Am I encouraging guys to think they're so great? Like, am I am I pushing this myth that's causing problems in reality? So, okay, I'm gonna stop. Just like,
Yeah. Anybody else have anything to say? Mel and I are just like,
yeah.
I think one of the things I think about with romance, I mean, people, hockey romance and romance novels in general, number one, focus on consent. And number two, consent is sexy. Like, when you're writing, you have the absolute, and reading a book, you have the absolute awareness, the mental state of both characters that they want this.
Yeah.
Having a moment where they're making sure and checking in with each other is so crucial.
Yes.
Like in a book, like
In life too.
yeah,
In real
exactly. But the thing is, like, seeing examples of that is so crucial, like, and so important for people, like, generally. Like, you're not gonna have, like, in reality, when someone, like, if someone isn't, like, in fiction, you have the benefit of the ability to make it extremely clear and create consent being sexy, like, and create a situation. Because
And holy moly, I am trying. I'm trying so hard to make it clear that
Yeah, like
You always do. Like
you always do. That's the thing. Like, you have been writing, Kelly, consensual, like sexy consensual hockey romance for years.
yeah.
And the fact that I get to have these conversations with you, I mean, I love everybody on this panel, but like the fact that I get to sit there with one of the OGs of hockey romance and have this conversation, like, will never get old for me, ever. And that's what hockey romance is supposed to do. Hockey romance is supposed to demonstrate
Yeah.
the safe, consensual way to be sexy. Consent and sexy go hand in hand.
Plus, you know, your frame of mind. Like, has the heroine been drinking? Is she, sick or under the weather or something? Like, there's all these other things that people need to take into consideration.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like I've gotten the comment before on some of my earlier works that there's too much consent. And I'm like, you know what? If that's the worst thing about this book,
Right? Yes.
I'm fine with that being a complaint someone gave me. Like, because I wanna, like, that's really important for me in my books that people know that both these people want this. So I'm like, you know what? Okay. Like those are some of those comments you just take and say, thank you for your feedback. I'm not changing this.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is actually one of the cornerstones of the trial too.
Yeah.
Not did she consent at the beginning, but did she consent to everything that happened during
Yeah.
the night? So if,
Yeah.
like, let's say there's 10 instances of sex and just one of them she didn't want, then guilty.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But as we're talking about books that we're going to read, there are two nonfiction books that are coming out. Rick Westhead, who's been amazing in
Yeah.
terms of investigating hockey culture and sort of the various things that have been happening over the last, including this trial. Like a lot of whatever reports I've been able to see are from him. He's got a book called We Breathe Lions, Confronting Canada's Troubled Hockey Culture, coming out on November 4th, from Penguin. And then
We
the
should,
other
we should read
one,
that for book club.
Yeah.
the other one, which is really cool, it's called, let me find it. There we go. It's called Black Aces, Essential Stories from Hockey's Black Trailblazers.
Oh,
And it's by Julian McKenzie with a foreword by Jerome McGinley.
Wow.
So that is coming out from Triumph Books on February 3rd. So
okay. There's our reading for next year.
There we
yep,
go.
both of these were recently announced, and I was like, I am.
I think Julian McKenzie, does he cover the Flames still, Fortune? I think he was covering them for The Athletic. I don't know. I don't know if he still does that. Oh, no, I think he went back. I think he went to Ottawa.
Oh. Okay, well,
It's some really fun talk.
yeah.
Didn't anything good happen this month?
I know. So let's move on to
Yes.
wild sins. Okay, so mine is not like really that wild. I honestly didn't think it was going to happen. And I think in our last live, like Mel said something to me about talking, and I was like, no. And I think the reason why I was kind of negative about the idea of him becoming the Flyers head coach is because the Flyers always hire ex-Flyers for everything, and it doesn't always pan out. So, like, I'm just like, stop doing that. Like, but like, Danny Briere is our GM, and people seem to like what he's doing. I mean, he's working with like not a great team, like constantly in rebuild. I'm like, all right. And then I was reading like some of their reasons for why they decided to hire Ataka. And it comes down to like he's really good at communicating with his players, and players young and old really like him. And I think that was a huge issue with our last coach. Like our last coach just could not coach younger players, and we have a younger team. So I'm like, okay, like, and I, in a previous life, I have interviewed Rick Duncan before, so I think I also had a little bit of a bias. So I'm like,
Oh,
I mean, he was good, but he was just a little out there when we interviewed him. But we were just like a little blog, like we weren't like anything. So, I was like, okay, like, so it was great. We got to talk to him about like Flyers and hockey and stuff. So I want to be cautiously optimistic for next year. So that's as wild as I've gotten.
I hope you don't like to see a lot of goals scored. That would be my opinion. Pretty defensive minded.
yeah.
I mean, it can win if you've got
Yeah.
people to put it in the net, but there's not a lot of scoring chances. There was a lot of defensive play. So
The Flyers, I feel like, are so weak on defense, so we definitely need that.
yeah, but you can't win with no
Yeah,
goals.
that's true.
So, yeah.
All right,
And
what
I
else?
mean, yeah. I didn't like him from the beginning. He was having success, but I never really liked him. I guess because I like Bruce Boudreau and he talked to him, but I think you're right, he is a good communicator.
That's why I'm being cautiously optimistic. We'll see what happens. I don't want to be like, yeah, it's gonna be great, and then it'd be terrible. And I also don't want to be so negative. But we'll see. Change is good, I think. All right, what else we got for wildest things?
Mhm.
Who wants to go?
Oh, I can go. I didn't want to step over Adam Foot
No,
again.
no,
Oh
no,
yeah.
no,
So
talk about that.
I want to talk about the Drake curse to see because there's always like a lot of talk whenever Drake makes a bet. And I just wanted to know if it was like real. And thankfully there is a website called thedrakecurse.com. There are actually quite a few websites, but this one had the most like this one was the most like unserious one. So there's like an overall he's not cursed, and this is based on him winning like the difference between his wins and his losses. But there's also a breakdown by sport. Um, and he is definitely cursed when he bets on hockey. So he's only made like 5 big bets on hockey. Two again are 2 for the Leafs, 1 for the Flames. Lost like horribly. He's extra cursed when it comes to soccer. And he's only semi-cursed with Major League Baseball. And also, a fun fact, there have been 2 notable people, like a person in a team that he bet against repeatedly and lost. So Jake Paul, he's bet against 3 times, lost all 3 bets. So he's Drake proof. And also, I guess Argentina doesn't like him, so he's bet on them twice. So he bet on them to win the 2022 World Cup final, but lost $1 million because they had to win in extra time. So I just think that's kind of funny because I know lots of famous people bet lots of big bets, but I think it's just a funny thing every time I see. And then I saw this stuff because Drake bet on the game, and then Justin and Haley were behind the bench, and they're like, "Who did it?" And I was like, "Nobody. The Leafs did it to themselves." The Leafs leaved. The Leafs left.
Funny.
But yeah.
I just thought of a wildest thing, and that would be that Haley was at the Met Gala. And I thought, oh, there she is all dressed up. She's alone. Because, and then I saw like on social media that Justin is lying on the couch in a sweatshirt watching the Leafs game the same night. I thought, yeah, their marriage right there. I'm going to the Met Gala. I'm going to lie on the couch with my friend and watch the Leafs.
Yeah, because otherwise he would have just been like on his phone the whole time and like,
yeah. What's the score? Like when you have to go to a wedding and it's the playoffs, you're like, oh, is there a TV here? Yeah.
That's the one earbud in the ear playoffs. It's been done.
Okay.
Yeah. Stacey? So a couple of quick things before I get to the big one. Number 1, yay, Mike Sullivan. We will see what kind of changes that makes to next year's Rangers team. There was also rumors about a new goalie coach joining group. We will see what that turns into. Number 2, Joe Micheletti. So last year, it was a big sort of deal that Sam Rosen, who had been the television voice for the Rangers for 40 years, was retiring. He has officially retired. His replacement has been named. Not very long after that replacement has been named, Joe Micheletti, who was a broadcaster and a hockey player in his own right, he announced his retirement. He had been Sam's broadcast partner for the last 20 years. And he had been a broadcaster for other places previously. And he said that he basically said that he was retiring because like he didn't make a big deal announcement because he didn't want to overshadow. He didn't want to like take any of the spotlight away from Sam. So next year, the local broadcaster will have a completely different team in the radio, in the television booth. No one knows who's going to be his Kenny Albert, who is the lead voice on TNT. He's the only reason why watching Florida Carolina is actually bearable. Anyway, he is his radio broadcast partner on MSG Networks for however many years is Dave Maloney. He is the front runner, but who knows if Ryan Callahan, who'd called games for ESPN last round, or Brian Boyle might be joining the team. So we will be paying attention. So the big thing is, I don't know necessarily. I know the Rangers really don't. Wendy Lamb is a comic artist based in Edmonton, Alberta. She is also a huge Oilers fan and has for the last however many years drawing the most amazing cartoons for the Oilers, featuring players when they win, when they lose, it doesn't matter. Players, inside jokes, all sorts of things. And looking at her comics makes me smile on days where it's kind of hard sometimes. Yes, I am rooting for the Oilers, especially now in vengeance of the Jets. So like her cartoons are just so fun, and one of the things that she does is so this is one of the cartoons from the last from not today's game, but to game 2. And she calls there's a language to them, and they're just really fun representation of Stuart Skinner and his just fun play. There is and his shutout from game 2, also with his mustache. Wins or Woots. And Ben is actually a tribute to young Ben Stelter, who had been a huge Oilers fan until he died of cancer. And so little Ben is in his memory. And it's always this 4-panel comic. You see the numbers of the Oilers in question, and it's just really fun. And and you kind of see like the feeling of the game in the comic. So she's Wendell and Lamb Chop on Instagram and all other social media forums, and she's a joy to follow. She sells stickers. I've got a whole bunch of Hyman stickers, which is how I discovered her in the first place. And yeah, they're just so much. The drawings are just so much fun. So here we go.
Ooh, we're out of time.
We're almost out of time. So my wildest thing is going to be super quick. I'll try and make it as quick as possible. So this is from the playoffs, the first round of the Jets against the Blues. And the last game, it went to game 7, which is like obviously always super stressful, right? Because that's it, do or die. So Jets were down 2 goals in the third period, somehow managed to score with 1 minute and 56 seconds left in the third period to make it 3-2. Then they scored with 2.2 seconds left to tie it up. It actually at first looked like 1.6 seconds but the clock got adjusted afterwards. So like 1.6 is like what everybody's like saying. I think you can buy a t-shirt with like 1.6 on it. That was like I could not believe that something like that could happen to the Jets. Honest to God, I was screaming my head off. My neighbor upstairs was texting me and saying, "I hope we didn't bother you with our screaming of the game last night." And I was like, "Oh, I was screaming too." Anyway, that was crazy. So that won them that series. That was like, people are calling it the miracle in Manitoba. Went into overtime. They played a whole period with no goals. We were down 1 D-man because Morrissey left early in the first period. These guys were absolutely gassed. Like they were just like, I don't know how they did this. The second overtime comes and holy shit, they did it. They scored at 16 minutes of the second overtime to win the series. It was just like, I have never experienced something like that where my team is, usually it's my team that's the one that loses and something like that. But my team was the one that won. I could not believe it. I was jumping off the couch and I was getting text messages from all over North America.
That's great.
It was absolutely hilarious. So that's my wildest thing.
Mm.
All right, let's quickly do best dressed. Stacy doesn't have one this
Okay.
month, but that's okay. So Kelly, who
Kelly,
you
that's Mark Scheifele, and that's not the last game, but it was one of the. I think it might have been game 7 that I was just talking about. He looks super serious there going into the arena.
He looks kind of tired and sad.
Tired and sad and serious, like holy crap. Anyway, but I'm just because it's Mark Scheifele, that's why I picked that one.
I figured. All right.
Aw.
Fortune, you have the Minnesota Frost.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. I was just like so happy to see like I know pink and purple are girly colors, but like they're the champions of the league. They're defending champions right now. They just won in triple overtime, and I love seeing the girly colors on the ice. I think they look fantastic. I know we don't I was trying to find one with the front, but we all don't like the the logo. And even some of the guys from the baseball team were wearing some of their swag. Also not really pretty. So this is what I'm going with. So go Frost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aw, go Ottawa. My hometown. I was just telling Danica. Well, so the Canucks AHL franchise is still in the playoffs, the Abbotsford Canucks. So I said, oh, so there's still players. So I said to Danica, I have no idea who this is. So I had to go through the entire roster, and I still am not certain because they don't like publicize them the way they publicize NHL,
Yeah.
with interviews and this guy and that guy. So they just have the thing and nobody's tagged. I think it is either Christian Felton or Linus Carlson, but I think it's Christian Felton. I think that's who he is. He's like a recent signing from college. And
He looks good.
anyway, looks good, well dressed, nice looking. Sorry if it is someone else, but I'm sure they have better things to do than watch a podcast when they're still in the playoffs.
So it was kind of funny that we talked about Sebastian Aho tonight because that's who I
Yeah.
picked. Like, because the Flyers aren't in it, so I like just go and like look at the other teams to try to pull one. But I think this photo is just really interesting, and a lot of the other photos you can see it better. They're being like rained on, like it started to pour, and so the caption said like we're bringing the storm or whatever. Like,
Oh,
and I like this picture. I think his suit is really nice here, so I was like, oh, I'll just go with that one.
is he like bringing coffee for everybody?
I have no idea why he has that many. That's a lot. I don't know. But like there's a photo of Brent Burns too, and he has like 3 bags, and people are like, "How long are you going for?" All right. So we are gonna do another show next month. I think we talked about the 22nd of
June
June.
22nd. Yeah.
June 22nd. So we'll see you then, and then we'll probably do a break like we normally do for like summer. So that will be our last one before the fall.
Okay,
Do we have any book releases?
we do. Can we see this? No, we can't see this.
Mel and I both do.
It comes out on Tuesday. So
Okay.
yeah,
I did see
not
the cover. It's really
not a
nice.
book, it's just a ebook only. It's on Kobo only, Kobo Originals. And I love it. I hope you like it too.
I have, is it the same date, Mel? June 3rd?
June 3rd.
I have a release that day too. That's
Which
my
one?
next one, Keeping the Score.
Uh,
My crazy goalie story.
I
Yay.
Cute.
Okay.
don't have anything. So,
Okay.
all right. Thanks, guys.